Hello and welcome, my name's Ryan, I'm also known as RM2K Dev. Today we're going to be doing a Minimap system. Now, I spoke with a couple of people in the comments section on a previous video about this idea, and basically we came to the conclusion that it would be a good tutorial to have, so I figured I'd go ahead and do it. Now, just before I start this tutorial, I'd let you guys know that this is an unscripted tutorial, so it's not going to be as clean and precise as my normal tutorials, and I'm probably not going to edit this one as hardcore as I do because I'm really stretched on time for the moment. So let's just jump straight in and get started. I'm going to create an object first. Actually, I'm going to create a group and I'm going to call it Minimap. Also, this isn't a conventional minimap. This isn't like the creative view that's, smaller than your normal view and display it in the bottom corner of the game or anything like that. This is a unique style of minimap. So we're not going to see everything that's on the map, but we will see, key locations of things like houses and in relation to the player's position and things like that. So just stick around and you'll see what I mean. Right, so Minimap group. I'm going to create an object inside that called. I'm going to call this one object minimap. There we go. And it doesn't need a sprite or anything like that. And I'm just going to go ahead and place one of those in our room. Now, I've prepared a room earlier. I basically just did a little bit of mapping. It's absolutely shocking. I gave up trying to do the floor really nicely. So sorry about that. But yeah, we just need a map to see how it's going to work. So so I've got this object minimap now. And I think what we need to do now is create another object. I'm going to call this one object, actually I'm going to call this one minimap underscore visible, right? And this is going to be, you give this to any object that you want to appear on the minimap. Now in the create event, I'm going to create a code segment and I'm just going to say minimap sprite equals, and I'm just going to put this as SPR underscore unknown. Now we haven't created that yet, but I'm going to go ahead and create that now. So just create a new sprite, call it SPR unknown. There we go. And just edit that sprite. I'm going to make this one 34 by 34, just because that's a number that I'm working with for this one. And I'm just going to put a big cross in the middle of it, and that's going to be like our, hey, this needs a sprite because it doesn't exist. Okay. So there we go. So anything that doesn't have a sprite, you'll see that instead. And just go ahead and center that and press OK. So now we have this minimap visible object. Also, I'm using the same Pokemon base game as I was using the Pokemon movement base game. I've been using this as a base project for quite a while now on a few videos, and seems to be going down quite well with the community. So I'm just going to keep using it because it saves me recreating the same thing over and over again. That's, getting up and running with a player that moves and a view that follows it. So I'm going to create a, what did we just do? We did the unknown sprite. Yes, I'm going to create an object now. I'm just going to call this one here. You don't have to do this, but I'm calling this object underscore house because I need a house in my game. And I'm just going to give it the house icon. Actually, I'm going to call this one weapon shop. Weapon shop. There we go. I'll give it the sprite house, which is something that I created earlier, and I'm centered that as well, and that's pretty much it for this one. I'm going to parent it to minimap visible. There we go. And I'm going to add a create event. Inside the create event, I'm going to invent inherited. So basically, I spelled that wrong. Inherited. There we go. So basically, the event for minimap visible will fire. So we'll have that minimap sprite, and then we can say something in here. I'll do it now. So minimap underscore sprite equals SPR underscore weapon shop. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drag a sprite that I want to represent the weapon shop. So I've got a bunch of open source sprites here. And I'm just going to drag in a, I don't know, a flaming sword. How about that? Drag that in as a sprite. I'm going to call this SPR underscore weapon shop. Okay, so now you see where we're going with this. The weapon shop will be represented by the flaming sword on our map. I'm also going to turn my mic down a little bit because I'm a little bit loud. There we go. Right, so I'm just going to drop a couple of weapon shops on the map now. So I'm just going to object weapon shop, and I'm going to drag one there, and I'm going to put one there, and I'll put one here down the bottom somewhere, and maybe one off to the side here. You have to forgive me, this map isn't really designed very well, but after all, that's not really the point of this tutorial, map designing. I'm just sort of showing you guys the process. Delete these tiles here. There we go. And now we have something that looks somewhat okay. I'm also going to make an armor shop, so I'm going to drag a shield icon in. What have we got? There we go. We've got a wooden shield. Drag that on as a sprite. We'll call this one here SPR underscore armor shop. There we go. And I'm going to duplicate my weapon shop, and I'm just going to call this object underscore armor shop. There we go. Like a what do you call them? The guys who sell armor and things like that. And I'm just going to change the minimap sprite to be SPR armor shop. There we go. Armor shop. And I'll do one more. I'm going to duplicate this one. I'm going to call this one SPR underscore mage trainer. I don't know. If you're making it a game or something and you had, you know, different types of NPCs and things like that, then you'd probably have this. That's going to have SPR mage. And we'll just go ahead and pluck an icon that looks pretty magical. So let's go with... we'll go with the holy... Actually, probably not. Might offend people. Well, we'll go with the angel. Well, that could offend people as well. If you're offended, then stop watching. We'll do sprite mage for that one as well. And make sure that these are all centered. There we go. So they're all centered. So now we have 3 different types of shops. I'm just going to jump into our room and add a couple of those objects onto our map so that we have some stuff. So I'm going to put an armor shop over here near the weapon shop, put one down here, put one up somewhere in the top left, and we'll put a mage trainer just like here. This is a horrible looking map, so I apologize first and foremost. There we go. So now we've got this like map, and it has a bunch of these different points of interest on it. These are going to appear on our mini map. Okay, so these are going to be the things that we're looking for. Now, excuse me. Now what we need to do is go into our object minimap, and I'm just going to open up some sample code I've got on my other screen here. There it is. Okay, so we need to add a create event to this and drag a code segment in there. And I'm going to say mm size equals 200. So this is going to be a minimap, and its size is going to be 200 by 200. Then we need a surface to represent the minimap. So I'm going to use smap equals surface underscore create, and it's going to be of the size mm size, and then mm size again, width and height are the same. Once that's done, you can go ahead and create a draw event. So I'm going to say, actually, before we do the draw event, we'll do the draw GUI. So draw GUI. So go into your draw GUI, and we're going to add a code segment. And I'm just going to say in this draw surface, draw surface. That's it. Draw surface S map, and we're going to draw it at 0. Actually, you know what? I'm going to draw it at 10, 10, 10 by 10. So when I run this game, what I should see is I actually won't see anything unless I say, oh, we'll have a look and see what happens. Let's just run it. So I hope you guys can see where this is going. Yeah, so we don't see anything at the moment because the surface is fully transparent. So that's good. We want it to be fully transparent, by the way. So now in our standard draw event, we just create a draw event. We're going to create another code segment, and this gets a little bit mathy. So I hope you guys stick around for this. I'll increase the font size a little bit. There we go. Hopefully you'll be able to see. Keep increasing this till it looks good. Hopefully you guys will be able to follow along with this, because this is where it gets a little bit complicated. So first of all, I'm going to say surface set target, and I'm going to say smap, because that's the surface that we want to draw to, and then surface reset target. There we go. So now anything in between those two we're going to be drawing onto the surface. The thing I want to do first is say with object underscore player. So whatever your player object is, we're going to start doing this. I'm going to do this backwards as well. So we're doing the last thing, and then we're going to do a bit up top, and we're just going to jump around in this file. So with the player, we want to ask the player, hey, can you please draw yourself to the surface? So draw sprite, and I'm going to draw the sprite index, image index, so that way it stays animated. And this time we need to modify its X and Y position. Now, obviously the player is going to be moving around in this world. Well, we need to scale that down to the size of our minimap, okay? So we need to draw that at other.mm size divided by 2. And there we go, other.mm size divided by 2, okay? So basically what's happening here is we're just saying draw the player in the center of the minimap. Now, if we run this, we should see a little player being drawn in the center of our 200 by 200 square there at the top left. I hope you can see that. He's just over here. There he is. Right, so we've got the player done. The next thing we're going to do is I'm just going to jump out of this and we're going to create a background. I think I've already got one created. I do, that's correct. So I'm just going to copy this background and create a new background. I'm going to call this one here sprite BG, sorry, not sprite, BG underscore mini map. There we go. And I'm just going to edit it and paste in my mini map. Resize canvas 96 pixels by 96 pixels. There we go. There we go. So basically what I've got here is just some grass tiles. Now, this will make sense in a little bit, but this is going to be the background for our mini map, because we're not going to be displaying the background of the map because it costs too much drawing performance to go through, and there isn't really a good way of doing that in Game Maker at the moment. So we're going to render a background that looks like our map, and we're going to render these points of interest on that in relation to the spot that your player's in. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So object minimap in the draw event. Now above our player, so the first thing that we want to happen is we want to say draw background tiled, okay? And the background is BG underscore minimap. So you see where this is going? And that takes an X and a Y position. We're going to say negative P off X and negative P off Y, and we're going to create those now. So I'm just trying to get this out onto the script window as I'm explaining it. So P underscore off X is going to be equal to the player's X position divided by the width of the room. So we get them into a number between 0 and 1, and then multiplied by the size of our mini map. So it's going to be object player.x divided by room width multiplied by other.mm size. Actually, I think in this case it can just be mm size. Yeah. And then we do the same for y. So P off y is object player.y, and if you're using physics, this is phy position x, phy position y, divided by the room height this time, multiplied by the size of the minimap. So we're basically scaling our player's position into those coordinates, and then what we're doing is we're drawing the background tiled, and we're using the inverse of those values as the offsets for the tiled background. And you'll see what happens in 2 seconds when I start the game and run it. So if you have a look what happens now, when I move to the right, you see this grass tile that I've got in the background is also moving relative to where the player is. So it looks like the player can infinitely walk around, basically. We've created an infinite scroller here. This is essentially what we've done. Now, the next part of this is getting the objects onto the screen. So what we need to do is, so between that background and under and above the player, we're going to do another with statement. So it's with minimap underscore visible. So anything that's visible on the minimap, that's going to be the, in my case here, it's the 3 different types of houses, but in your case, it might be NPCs, it might be quest markers, it might be whatever you have in your game that you want to be visible. We want to draw a sprite, and I'm going to use the ext method for this. Draw sprite, minimap sprite. I think that's what I called it. Let me double check. Minimap sprite. Yep. So that's what we've set that we want. Sorry, that's what we've said that we want. We want to draw that sub-image image index. Excuse me. Now this is where it gets a little bit mathy, and by mathy I mean I hacked this together by guessing. So hopefully you forgive me for that. So we need the X position of this object on the room to divide it by the room's width. Okay, so now we're doing the same thing that we did up here. Basically, we're dividing the X position by the room width, and I'm going to put that in brackets. Then we need to multiply that by the minimap size, so we get it in position with the minimap. So times by other.mm size. Okay, minus the player's offset position. So minus other.p underscore off x. Okay, plus half of the minimap size. Okay, so there might be a significantly more efficient way of writing this, and if there is, I hope you guys will leave that in the comment section, because it will make a lot more sense if there is a more efficient way of doing this, efficient as in readable. But yeah, this is just a way that I sort of cobbled together to get it to work. So P of X and then other dot mm size divided by 2. Now the reason I keep using mm size and not saying 100 is because we can actually adjust the size of this minimap at runtime. So you can zoom in, you can change the size, you can rotate it, you can do all sorts of stuff with it. So that's going to be our X position. We need to do the same for the Y position now. So I'm going to create another one, and this one's going to be for the Y position. So we're going to say Y, so this time it's going to be room height times by minimap size minus player's offset Y position, not U position, Y position. And then for the rest of the parameters, it's business as usual, which are X scale is going to be 1, Y scale is going to be 1, rotation is going to be 0, color is going to be C, white and alpha is going to be 1. I mean, technically you could get away with using just a standard draw event, but this gives you the option to scale these pictures up and down if you want. You can make them bigger as the player gets closer and smaller as the player gets further away and stuff like that. So with that done, I think that's our minimap system completed and working. But there will be another step to this. There we go. So as you see, we have a weapon shop. Sorry, excuse me. We have a weapon shop here, and as I go inside, you see I'm standing at the door to the weapon shop. We have a mage trainer up here. We have a weapon shop down here. We have a mage trainer as we move around our game down here somewhere. Here he is. So as you can see, the minimap basically gives you a rough idea of where things are. But at the moment, this doesn't really look like a minimap. It looks like a square of just icons that are being displayed. So this is where it gets a little bit interesting. We are going to make it circular. So this is one of the benefits to using surfaces, is the fact that we can do some cool stuff like this. So I'm going to create a sprite, and I'm going to call this one here sprite minimap sub, just for subtract. I'm going to edit the sprite, and it's going to be 64 by 64 pixels. I'm going to zoom right in on that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the circle tool, and I'm going to draw a circle from the first pixel all the way down to the last pixel. There we go. So we've got this awesome looking circle. Then I'm going to take my fill tool, and I'm going to fill in the gaps around the edges. So now it's a completely full circle inside of a square of black. Then I'm going to take my opacity right down and change to replace. And using the black color, so you're not the white color, you have to use the black color for this. Fill the white circle with 0 opacity black. And what you get is what looks transparent, but it actually is storing the pixel values for black. So that's important. And with that, I'm just going to save that, tick OK, and then I'm going to center that, select OK again. And this time, go back to your Object Minimaps draw event, and after all of this is completed, we can do a very simple draw call, draw set blend mode, and I'm going to use BM subtract. And what this is going to do is it's going to subtract out the black sections and leave the transparent sections. What am I doing? BM subtract, and then I'm going to say the same thing, except this time I'm going to change it back to normal, BM normal, so it goes from subtracting to being normal. And then inside of that, I'm going to say draw sprite stretch, and I'm going to use the SPR minimap sub. Is that how it's spelled it? SPR minimap capital S sub. There we go. It's going to be drawn at 0, 0, X and Y. And the width and height is going to be mm size, so the size of the minimap. So now what's going to happen is, if I got all of that correct, I don't think I did get all of that correct. Why is this X? Oh, sorry, sub image 0, then X position 0, then Y position 0, then width and height, so mm size. So what will happen now is it's going to draw this transparent image stretched over the top. It's going to take away those black sections and leave this transparent section. Now, if I run the game, we should have a circular minimap, and this looks really cool. There we go. So now we have a circular minimap. It would look even better if my background was a different color, but that's what I've just chosen to use for this simple demo. I tell you what I'll do. I will quickly, while I'm here, make another background. This one will just be like a standard checkerboard grid. So I'm going to make a new background, call this BG grid. I'm going to make a new image, 128 by 128. Paste that in there. So we've got this blue grid. that will do. And now if I change my BG minimap to BG grid, what you should see, it'll be very obvious that there's a circular minimap now, because it'll be a big blue background. There you go. So you can see the minimap now is fully operational and visible, if that makes sense. So anyway, I hope you guys liked this video. I know this isn't the minimap that a typical minimap. I mean, you probably weren't expecting this minimap. The other thing you can do is make the, if you want to go through the process of taking, zooming out and taking a screenshot of your room, you can use this process in the same way, where instead of using the background image tiled, you just put the background image of the room on the surface. The other thing that you can do to make this more efficient is render all of these, sorry about that, excuse me, render all of these, render all of the objects onto another surface at the create event, and then only render that surface and the player. That'll save you a lot of draw calls at runtime. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and leave any feedback, comments, and questions and things like that in the comment section below. I usually respond to all of those, so and I really like hearing that sort of feedback as well. If you have any, that would be great. So I hope you enjoyed this, and that is my pretty simple minimap system. So thank you for watching. Bye for now.